Now that Deion Sanders has had some success on the football field, does it change his recruiting?
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You could start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. We are also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And who doesn't love free things? And who doesn't love Caroline Fenton of Yahoo Sports? Caroline, thank you for joining us. I hope you are ready to dive into the crazy world that is Colorado football.
Yes, I will take any and every opportunity to talk about Colorado football, the craziness around it, all of the above. So I'm happy to be with you today and happy to talk some Buffs.
Awesome. Okay, so here's how this is going to work. First segment, I'm going to shoot a working theory at you, and you're either going to tell me that I'm amazing or that I'm an idiot. And so those are the options. There's no in between. Okay, cool. It might be in the middle, but that's okay. Realistically, I think Deion Sanders in Colorado up until this point had been selling a dream, selling a vision, or selling the thought of a successful program, right? When he gets hired, he puts together a top 25 class almost in about 5 minutes, puts together the number one transfer portal class. Then they go 4-8. And it's like, okay, well, we didn't have the guys we wanted. So now we're going to try this again. We're going to do things a little differently. And then they actually have success. And so I think, and this is the theory, that because they had success going 9-3, possibly a 10-win season for the first time since 2016, and this is kind of crazy, they have a chance to win their first bowl game since 2004. I was 5 when that happened.
That's wild.
That is wild. I was 5, possibly in kindergarten, first grade. I don't remember the age grade, but because they have success, I think it'll be easier to recruit these top players in the portal, which, i.e., they just landed Jaheim Otis from Alabama, who is the number one defensive lineman, and they have guys like Caden Salter and Kevin Concepcion on campus as we speak. So what do you think about how easier, harder, different it'll be for Deion Sanders?
You've also got Julian Lewis, a 5-star quarterback committed in the 2025 recruiting class. I think you're 100% spot on. That's exactly what it is. Once you have proof of concept, then the top talent in the country feels more comfortable coming in and contributing to your program. Because let's be honest, when Deion Sanders was hired by Colorado, it was an experiment. It's the exact same thing that we're going to see unfold with Bill Belichick at North Carolina, Scott Frost going back to Central Florida. It's this idea of, okay, we know that Bill Belichick's a really great coach, but can he do it at this level? It was the same thing with Deion Sanders. We know that Deion Sanders was an excellent player back in his day. We know the kind of intrigue and the weight that Deion Sanders brings just in terms of his reputation, but can he coach at a high level in college football? And now we have, from this past year sample size, the answer to that is yes. Like, can Deion Sanders win a national championship? Jury's still out. Can Deion Sanders get to the college football playoff? Yes, absolutely. He can get to the college football playoff, especially in a 12-team playoff, and especially if it even continues to expand to 14 and beyond, which it probably will. So yes, I would say that is a resounding success at a program like Colorado. If you are part of the national conversation, which Colorado very much so is, and even was before they were a 9-win football team, and can get into the college football playoff? Yes, I think Colorado can do that. I think Deion Sanders can do that, even though he hasn't. Can he win a national championship? I lean no, but surprise me. Like, hey, I'm more than happy to say that I would be wrong there. But when you have proof of concept of winning football games, now you have a Heisman Trophy winning player. So you can see Deion Sanders can sell, look, I can get you to New York City. Deion Sanders can sell NIL. Like, nobody has profited off of NIL better than Deion Sanders himself and a lot of his players, his kids, Travis Hunter himself, that I can put you at the top of college football. I can make you millions and millions of dollars, and I can make you a superstar in this sport. What 16, 17, 18-year-old kid, and I'll even go and say 20, 21, 22-year-old kid in the transfer portal doesn't want to be part of that? A winning football program, which is what Deion Sanders has made Colorado, and making money. That's really the two most important things for recruits, both whether it's in the transfer portal or in high school. So I would say, yes, absolutely. But that's also something that can be taken from you at any moment. If Deion Sanders turns around and has a 4-8 season next year, well, then the conversation is going to be, Was it a fluke? Was it because you had Shedeur and Travis Hunter? Can Deion Sanders do it without those two players? So it's something that has to build consistently. But the more and more you do it, the more and more of a proof of concept that we have of the Deion Sanders experiment at Colorado, I think you're only going to want more and more players to be part of what he's building there.
Right, totally agree. Let's talk about the challenges of it, right? Because I think each and every year, which honestly, the only people that know are the people that are in the room. Each and every year, Deion Sanders has said he's had hundreds of transfer portal players reach out to him. I imagine if it's already been hundreds before off of a Jackson State season where I don't think up until the Cricket Bowl, I don't think most people were tuned in to watch Jackson State. And then they go 4-8 and they still have hundreds of inquiries, right? So I imagine that number is only going to skyrocket. There's thousands of guys in the portal. How does Deion Sanders be selective, right? Because I think there's a lot of different elements to building his new team because he no longer has Shedeur. He no longer has Travis. So you basically lose 3 players there because obviously Travis counts as 2. How do you deal with building a contending team when probably everyone in the portal is at least interested?
Yeah, that's, I think, a question that a lot of head coaches in college football have to ask themselves. It's the same thing with like Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. Another example of a proof of concept that Ole Miss was just kind of perennially like a 7-5, 8-4 football team that had never gotten to Atlanta and was never at the top of the top and the cream of the crop in the SEC. Now turn around, Lane Kiffin has a proof of concept. Now players want to be part of what he is building there. I think there's several college football coaches that can ask themselves that question. And that's when it comes down to your scouts. That's when it comes down to how do I find the right fit, both X's and O's wise, of whose play is going to fit well in our system, who's going to complement the roster that we already have, and who's going to be a good fit in the locker room. Nick Saban said it, and obviously, shocker, Nick Saban, winning his coach in college football history, says something that's, impactful and profound and smart about college football. He's like, look, you can build something that everyone wants to be part of. You can throw money at any player to come be part of your program, but picking the right players. It's not just about paying players. It's not just about getting players that you need at a certain position. It's about getting the right guys. It's about paying the right guys. Because I think there will come a time in, at some point in the current college football era that we're living in, where if you don't have a return on your investment, meaning championships and wins and conference championships and trips to the college football playoff, donors and collectives will be less likely to throw a ton of money at the program if 4, 5, 6, 10, 15, 20 years down the line, they're saying, well, I've given $1 million a year the past 20 years. We haven't cracked the college football playoff once. So it's being smart. It's about building your program the right way. It's about retaining your own locker room. It's about finding the right people that fit with your coaching staff, finding the right coaches that fit in your coaching staff. Now that we're seeing so much movement with coordinators and assistant coaches, whether it's moving to a higher level, whether it's taking a better job at a smaller school, whether it's going to the NFL, it's all about finding the right people. So, I mean, frankly, I don't have an answer for how you do that, but Deion Sanders and that question and that maybe conundrum that's facing him is not unique to Colorado, but that's his job as the head coach of the Colorado Buffaloes is how do we find the right people? Because if you don't, that can set you back really far and that could be detrimental to a program that's on the rise.
Yeah, and honestly, it's a good problem to have, right? It's a good problem to have a lot of
problem
talent.
to have.
Yeah, a lot of talented. I hate it here. A lot of talented players want to come play for me. Horrible problem to have, right? No, I think it's exciting for Colorado, especially when you look at 2 years ago. They were 1-11. They were terrible. I was at the Pac-12 networks at the time of Colorado's 1-11 season. They were on every Pac-12 network game. Like every one of their games was on the Pac-12 network, which was not a good thing in terms of like if you wanted national exposure, because that just meant you were not getting exposed. Colorado has completely flipped around, and the booster thing, it's an interesting point that you brought up, and I think that's the one thing that makes Colorado unique. I'm not saying it's exclusive to Colorado, but I don't think they have the deepest bag of like they're not like Michigan, who have a random billionaire whose wife happened to be a Michigan fan or whatever the story was there.
Nice.
Yeah, but they do have Deion Sanders, which you mentioned, and I think once you go to Colorado and you prove that, hey, I'm a star, I can be a star, you get deals. And I think that's kind of like working in Colorado's favor. Like some of the walk-ons got to do a commercial with, I think it was California Almonds. His family's done KFC commercials. I think Travis Hunter has every NIL deal under the sun.
Yeah.
Adidas, whatever you name it, United. He has it all. And so I think Colorado has a unique selling point. And I also think there's a lot to be excited about if you're a Colorado fan, because I don't feel like there's been a lot of excitement to be had for Colorado fans in quite some time. So we're going to talk about one of the guys that excites Colorado fans the most, Travis Hunter. We're going to talk about his legacy, his personal life, and everything in between, and talk about how he's balancing it all and how Colorado is going to balance not having him. But first, a quick word from our sponsors. And you guys all know the college football playoff is coming up. It's that time of the year. The college football playoff is back. And with a newly expanded 12-team format, it's guaranteed to be bigger and better than ever, bringing you all the hard-hitting and high-flying excitement that you love. TNT Sports' coverage of the college football playoff begins December 21st, starting with the college football playoff kickoff show presented by AT&T at 11 a.m. Eastern, leading into our first matchup that's really early. The Southern Methodist University Mustangs battling the Penn State Nittany Lions at noon. Then the Clemson Tigers look to upset the Texas Longhorns in a showdown at 4 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss a moment of the action. Watch the college football playoff presented by Allstate live on TNT, True TV, TBS, and Max. We are also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Every dayers, you know who you are. You like, you subscribe, you comment. You tell me I'm wrong. You tell me I'm right. Either way, we appreciate you, and the show would not be possible without you. Caroline, let's dive right into the Travis Hunter saga that is becoming. I think we need to talk about him on the field first, right? I think let's get to the brass taxes first. Realistically, where do you think he sort of goes down in college football history? Because I had another theory, if you will. I was talking about this after the Heisman, where Travis Hunter feels like one of the first, if not one of the few players that I feel like I'll tell my kids about, where it's like, back in my day, I remember watching this guy, Travis Hunter, play offense and defense. Like, I think there's like a limited, like, there's probably like 5 players that I could count on my hand where I feel like they fit into that category. Be like Johnny Manziel, just because he was so chaotic and what he was doing off the field. Maybe Marcus Mariota, like he was just so exciting for a West Coast kid like myself. There's just a handful of guys. And so where do you think Travis Hunter fits into this? Like, would you tell your kids about him, I guess, is the question.
I think the answer to that has to be yes, because Travis Hunter did something that we have never seen before in college football. And peek behind the curtain, I don't have a Heisman Trophy vote, but if I did, then Travis Hunter would have gotten my first place vote, which is crazy because we had a guy in Ashton Genty that did something that hadn't been done since Barry Sanders did it in college. But that's just how spectacular Travis Hunter was. That's how unique he was. That's how deserving he was of the honor of the best player in all of college football. And it was because he played both sides at a very, very high level.
Right.
We haven't seen that. We've seen guys maybe make the transition from offense to defense, or like JJ Pegues at Ole Miss stands out to me that he's a defensive lineman, but he'll come in for offensive snaps on, fourth and short kind of situations or goal line situations. He's not a two-way player by any means. We have never seen a guy that won the Bednarik and the Biletnikoff, the best defensive player in all of college football and the best wide receiver in all of college football. We have never seen a guy like Travis Hunter that could legitimately play either receiver or defensive back on Sundays in the NFL. So that's what I'm going to tell my kids about Travis Hunter, because I don't know if we'll ever see another talent like Travis Hunter ever again. There's going to be kids at the Pee Wee level, at the high school level, that say, I can do what Travis Hunter did. And they probably can't do what Travis Hunter did. For their sake, I hope that they can. For our sake as college football fans, I hope that they can, because it is so fun to watch and it is so difficult to grasp truly what he did. I mean, he's averaging 130 snaps a game, give or take.
Yeah.
That is stupid. That I can't even conceptualize and wrap my mind around just how well conditioned and just how good you have to be in order to play that many snaps. I'm at Yahoo Sports show, the College Football Power Hour. One of my co-hosts is Adam Brenneman, who played at Penn State and at UMass. And he talked about whenever he would play 60 snaps a game, then the coaches would give him, a few periods off of practice because they were like, Adam's got to rest. Adam has to get treatment. Adam played 60 snaps. And that's a lot. That's half of what Travis Hunter was doing
for the average human, if you will.
For the average human, somebody that's not like literally made it in a lab, it feels like Travis Hunter was. Yeah. So yes, absolutely. I think that's his legacy in college football, is he's done something that nobody has ever done before. And I don't know if we will ever see someone do it at the level that Travis Hunter did it.
Yeah, I think, and we're seeing this already kind of in the transfer portal, right? The Alabama 5-star safety is rumored to want to play both ways now. And Jalen Mbakwe is his name, where he leaves Alabama. He wants 7 figures is kind of the going rumor, and he wants to play both ways. And so I think a lot of people are going to try to imitate what Travis Hunter did, but
Mhm.
I keep saying this. I don't know if anyone could replicate what Travis Hunter did. It's
Yeah.
not that easy. I think even Deion Sanders, and at first I kind of thought like I'm not even gonna lie. When Deion Sanders said he was better than me at this point, I don't know. I wasn't live when Deion Sanders was in college. I have no idea how.
Yeah.
Like I've seen clips. I don't remember the aura, the vibes, the energy around Coach Prime. But I was like, okay, I feel like he's just saying that to be nice, kind of boost him up. But I think Travis is legitimately one of the best college football players ever, and I don't feel like, and you could chime in here as well because I feel like we're not too far in age, but I think you grew up a little having different players to watch than I did, a little bit, not too far, but realistically, I don't remember watching a player live and being like, "That's a college football legend," like automatically. Like I don't remember having that memory too many times.
In recent history, I mean, obviously, I'm an LSU fan. I graduated from LSU, but even if I take my purple and gold tinted glasses off, like Joe
Mhm.
Burrow was that.
That's
Joe
true. Yeah.
Burrow in his second season at LSU, like you
Right.
knew he was special. Johnny Manziel, I think, is a perfect example of that. Of that he is special. And in
Mhm.
those, 2003, 4, 5 USC teams, I was young then. I don't think I really understood college football at the level that I needed to truly appreciate what Reggie Bush was at USC. But
Right.
looking back on some of those seasons, looking back on Reggie Bush's Heisman season, like Reggie Bush, I
Yeah.
think will go down as one of the most electric and most talented players in all of college football. And I'm sure I'm missing some, but those are three other than Travis Hunter
Mhm.
that really stick out to me. And I think another thing that might make Travis Hunter so unique. I don't know how many college football coaches would allow their star player, a talent like Travis Hunter, to play as many snaps as he
Mhm.
did. Like there might have been coaches that from the jump said, no, you got to pick. You're either a DB or you're a receiver, and you can come in for packages and you can, play offense a little bit or defense a little bit, but you are going to have a designated position and you are going to be, an expert at that position rather than a jack of all trades and a master at none. Travis Hunter, to give Deion Sanders credit for allowing Travis Hunter to not just be a jack of all trades and a master at none, but being a master at everything. I
Mhm.
don't know how many college football coaches would have, frankly, the balls to be able to do that.
Yeah. No, it's a good point because I think when you recruit a kid, especially now in the NIL era, where it's like, okay, we just got this. Say we'll go with the safety for instance, for the Alabama kid. Say he lands somewhere else. Right now, Ole Miss has a crystal ball for him, so we'll see. Say he goes to Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin pays him X. We'll just say $2 million. I don't know
Mhm.
if that's probably not the going rate, but we'll just say for S and Gs. And then all of a sudden he sprains his ankle, and it's like, okay, well now we don't want you playing 90 snaps, right? Because we don't need you banged up, and because you talked about return on investment earlier. Um, Realistically, I don't see how these boosters get a return on investment anyway, outside of like maybe a little bit of marketing. But honestly, if you look at the marketing of any of these NIL athletes, they post like one half-ass Instagram post like once a month, and they're like, okay, make sure to go to my sponsor. Like I appreciate them. And it's like, okay, that costs that company hundreds of thousands of dollars and just made them X amount of dollars. So I don't think programs would want to risk losing money. I think Deion Sanders, and we've seen this from the jump, he was willing to build a portal through the roster. He'll take a risk. And I
Yeah.
think so far it's paid off for him. Let's also talk about Travis Hunter's personal life a little bit. I don't want to dive too much into it. I just want to
Yeah.
dive into the notion of I think people are really invested in something that we should not be really invested in. This being his girlfriend, fiance situation, where I think we're psychoanalyzing every single thing she does.
Yeah.
She put out a 9 minute ish video yesterday, talking about how just kind of giving her side of the story. And I think while I don't know if it was flawlessly executed, I think it needed to be done because I feel like she's catching a lot of negative attention. What do you think of the whole situation? Should people relax first of all?
People need to relax about everything. So
Right.
yes, relax, unclench. Okay, nothing
Yes.
is that big of a deal. Um, I would say that when you are at that level, when you are the face of EA Sports and you're the face of Adidas and you're the Heisman Trophy winner, you're the face of Colorado football, you are going to be a top 5, top 10 pick in the NFL draft. Unfortunately, there's a target on your back. Does that make it okay? Absolutely not. But is that the reality? Yes, it is 110% completely that when you are on that stage, when you have that kind of coverage, you basically open up the general public to make any and every assumption and judgment about you as they want. It's
Right.
terrible. It comes with the territory. You get compensated very well in spite of it, but it is a reality of the situation. I hate that they're going through this. I hate that it feels like Travis Hunter's Heisman experience has been overshadowed by idiots on social media talking about how terrible his fiance is, even when it's really easy for us to psychoanalyze and pick apart a 30-second video, or in her case, a 9-minute video.
Mhm.
Maybe that wasn't the best idea to put out there. Everyone needs to relax about it, but nobody's going to, right? We can't control what the general population and what the masses think about you or your fiance or your personal life. The
Mhm.
biggest thing for Travis Hunter, I think, right now, the most important thing is the NFL draft. NFL general managers and scouts will turn over every single stone in your life. They'll talk to your first grade teacher. They'll talk to your pediatrician. They'll talk to your mom's uncle's cousin's best friend's neighbor to get
Right.
any and every piece of intel and dirt that they possibly can, because
Mhm.
these NFL general managers are making millions and millions of dollars of investment into their first round picks. And if you think that general managers aren't paying attention to the media circus that comes with Travis Hunter and his fiance, you are sorely mistaken. Quick little anecdote. A former first round pick, or a former draft pick, I will say, was doing some meetings with
Mhm.
a team that had a high round pick. This player walks into the meeting room, talks with the GMs, talks with some of the scouts, talks with some of the coaches. And on his way out of the meeting room, there was like a bowl of chips that was laying there. He took a bag of chips and left. That was enough reason for that GM to not want to draft that player, because they thought that it was rude that he went in and took chips and didn't say thank you and didn't ask if he could take it. Like
Mhm.
that, those tiny little things, the
Right.
teeniest, tiniest little things, is what these NFL GMs will use to judge a lot of these incoming players into the NFL. Now, I'm not going to say that Travis Hunter is going to fall to the 5th round because his girlfriend pouted on, on a Twitter video, but I will say that's the most important thing for him right now is the best PR that he can possibly put out there. Put all of this circus behind him. Just focus on the football aspects of things. Have the correct answer to respond to the people that are inevitably going to be interviewing him about this situation, about his fiance, about all of the negative talk on social media. So do we need to all relax? Yes. We need to leave this poor girl alone. 100%. Yes, we do. But the most important thing for Travis Hunter right now is, how do I get the best possible impression in front of NFL general managers?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And honestly, NFL general managers, they're freaks. They look into every single thing. I get it, but I also don't get it, because it's like, okay, we're you guys are getting a little obsessive. But with same thing with social media, everyone's obsessive. And I think if I were to give one piece of advice to Travis Hunter and his fiance before we move on, it would be to stop addressing it. I think every time you address it, like the 9-minute video, we now have 9 minutes of things to psychoanalyze and break down. And like, she talked about this instance, she talked about this manner, in this way. And like, they've posted multiple videos, they posted TikToks, because this goes back to their game against Utah. And I think that's
Yeah.
the thing that started it all. And that was part of the video. I think yesterday was,
Cheerleaders.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think part of the video was, and she explained that she was upset because the security guards wouldn't let the family through. And so by the time the camera had shown them, her and Travis had already kissed, and she was upset about the security guard not letting the family onto the field. Whatever, like that's her story. I don't know. I wasn't there, wasn't a part of it. Either way, we've addressed it 7 times. People are going to make opinions about it, and I think the more you address it, the more opportunities you give people to run and create narratives. And
Right.
I think we live in an era of social media where everyone's got a doctorate in body language, vibes, lip reading. So the more content you give them, the more stuff you're going to hear about it. So I would just give up on it. You've addressed it, you moved on, and we're going to move on as well, because we're going to be talking about how Colorado can build success, without Travis, without Shedeur, and in the future. But first, a quick word from our sponsors over at FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL on one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. This episode of Locked on Buffs is also brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is a fun place to get in on the action. Let me tell you about Prize Picks. You can make your holidays bigger and brighter with Prize Picks, the best place to get real money action while watching your favorite sports. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks. Join now because this holiday season, Prize Picks is giving away 2 free picks in December, and they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Pixmas, which is their version of Christmas. So, this week in Prize Picks, obviously, you got to look at college football. And I think my favorite selection to go with is quarterbacks throwing interceptions because they are college quarterbacks. And at the end of the day, they will do something chaotic. They will do something stupid. And I think Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers is always due for a stupid interception during a big game. So I would go check out Prize Picks for that. So download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks is a fun place to get in on the action. So go have some fun and go make your picks. Welcome back to Locked on Buffs. It's me, it's Caroline Fenton, and possibly her dog shaking in the background, which we love dogs. Bring him on the camera if he's close enough.
It is. I got 3 over here. I'm at my parents' house for the holidays, so I have
Love
3
that.
options of whatever dog you want to see.
Perfect.
Whichever one comes over here.
We should have had a dog up every segment. We should have just been holding him in the background. So let's talk about Coach Prime, Travis Hunter, and Shedeur Sanders, right? They've been a dynamic trio. I don't remember, and this feels very relative to like recency bias, so I could be just full of recency bias today, but I don't remember there being a coach and players combination as in the spotlight as these 3, right? I think there's kind of been a lot of players who've had the spotlight, like Ed Orgeron and Joe Burrow may have been a contender for one of the best duos ever, right? Ed Orgeron, he's Ed Orgeron. I mean, there's just no other way to explain it. And Joe Burrow he had some of the most charisma we've ever seen. But with these 2 players leaving, because they're both going to the NFL draft, how does Deion Sanders prepare for life without them?
And I think that Deion Sanders and Shedeur and Travis Hunter, they're unique in that, the 2019 LSU team, they got so much media coverage and so much attention because they were really good. And also because Ed Orgeron was, kind of a lovable character who talked funny and was literally like the personification of the state of Louisiana. And Joe Burrow was who he was. And then you add on top of Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase and that entire team, they wouldn't have gotten the media coverage just on their personalities alone. It added to such the electric season. Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter and Deion Sanders in this Colorado program, they're 9-3. That's a solid season. That's a good season, but that's not the kind of season that you follow without the kind of personality that Deion and Shedeur and Travis Hunter bring. So they're unique in that sense. A team that didn't make the college football playoff is at the top of the conversation nationally because of who they are, what their names are, and what they bring, the different kind of swagger that they bring to college football. So what does life without them look like? My first question is, how long does Deion Sanders want to coach in college football? Because I kind of initially thought once Shedeur went to the NFL that maybe Deion would make a leap somewhere else in college, potentially even make the leap to the NFL. I don't really believe that anymore. Frankly, I think that Deion Sanders is pretty content at Colorado. If there's a Florida State that comes calling or a Dallas Cowboys that comes calling one day, will that be different? Will I change my tune a little bit? Maybe, honestly, probably. But for right now, it feels like Deion Sanders is pretty set. So that's question number 1. Does Deion Sanders, or how long does Deion Sanders want to stick around at Colorado life after Shedeur? The second thing is, right now, I think, looking at their recruiting rankings, looking at the success that they've been able to have in the portal, do you replace those kinds of players like Shedeur and Travis Hunter? No. Like we just talked about how it doesn't seem like there's going to be a player anytime soon, if not ever, that can replicate what Travis Hunter can do. Can you find other players to not replicate, but replace him? Yes, absolutely you can. And Deion has done a fantastic job in the transfer portal. You look at their top 3 receivers this past season, obviously Travis Hunter, transfer portal player, but like also I view him differently. LaJohntay Wester, transfer portal player. Will Shepherd, transferred out of Vanderbilt. You look at Isaiah Augusta, Dallin Hayden, all transfer portal players. So he has success throughout the transfer portal. Names that aren't as known or household names as Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter because they are who they are, and you're not going to have guys like that. So I think that Colorado is going to be fine. They're going to be able to plug and play and find a lot of talent and become even more of a destination for that talent. It's just going to look different, and the talent level won't be as high as Travis Hunter, because nobody's going to find the Travis Hunter talent level like Deion Sanders was able to find.
Yeah, and I think because Travis Hunter played multiple positions and because he plays at positions where there's multiple players on the field at that time, I think it's harder to replace Shedeur. And in the sense of you can moneyball Travis. Like you're never going to get Travis, like you just said. You're never going to get another Travis. You may get a corner who's really good, or you may get a receiver who's really good, which I imagine Colorado will do both, but it's probably going to be very hard to find someone who's both. And so I think you kind of have to moneyball Travis and bring in 3 corners and be like, okay, we're going to see who sticks and we're going to rotate you in here. You're going to play here, you're going to play there, and move on from there. I think quarterback, as we all know, is viewed as the most important position in sports. And I think replacing Shedeur, especially when you consider the offensive line this year better, sure. Very low standard, very low bar to go off of. They weren't that good. They have a couple core pieces of George Seaton, the freshman, and then Cash Cleveland, who are both freshman All-American, but the offensive line still, Shedeur Sanders was still the 3rd most sacked quarterback in the country. The run game was not that good. And so you need a quarterback who can deal with that. And I don't think Shedeur got enough credit for that. And it's weird to say Shedeur Sanders didn't get enough credit for something because I feel like he's talked about a lot, but Shedeur Sanders got hit every single game, like 30 times. It felt like he was sacked a ton during his college career. And so you need to find a quarterback who A, can avoid that, and B, be tough enough to live through that unless they bring together an all-world offensive line. Whereas Travis, Colorado's going to get receivers. You mentioned the 2 guys. They also had Jimmy Horn the year before. They had Xavier Weaver from USF as well the year before. Skill players want to play for Deion. Why would you not? Like he's cool. He's young. He seems hip. I think his son's run his social media, which I think makes him look even cooler because he kind of talks in a way where it's like, wow, Deion Sanders gets it. And so I think he's always going to get skill players, but it's the quarterback where I circle as this will be my biggest question. I think because Caden Salter is in the mix right now, the Liberty transfer, then they have Julian Lewis as well. Either one, if those guys work out, I think Deion will be very content in Colorado, right? Because why would he not be? He has a program that's contending. If he struggles to replace Shedeur Sanders, his son, maybe he goes, maybe a podcast is calling his name. Maybe a job in the media is calling his name. And I think a lot of people point to coaching. I don't think he'll leave for another coaching job unless it's the Dallas Cowboys job or something of that magnitude. I think he leaves for a job outside of football that doesn't require him to have a day-to-day that is so stressful and I guess just all up your life. Like it is your life.
It's a 365 day a year, 24-hour a day operation. And I think that this time of year is the perfect example of that, of you're game planning for a bowl game or college football playoff game if you're lucky enough. You are retaining your own roster because the transfer portal just opened. You are recruiting through the transfer portal. And oh yeah, by the way, National Signing Day was like 2 weeks ago. So you're juggling all of these different things. You're playing X's and O's coach, but you're also playing general manager, trying to retain your roster and build up your roster for next year. So any coach that leaves college coaching, I don't blame them because you get compensated very well, but it's also like you don't have a life. It's not like the NFL where the entire month of May and June, like you're off basically, like enjoy your trip to Italy, have fun in Cabo. That doesn't exist in college football coaching. So I wouldn't blame him in the slightest. I think the other thing that is real and true is all while the transfer portal giveth, and Deion Sanders has been the beneficiary of a lot of transfer portal talent, the transfer portal also taketh away. The NIL resources that Colorado has and Deion's connections in the media world are absolutely valuable. There are also the Ohio States and the Michigans and the Alabamas and the Georgias of the world, the Ole Misses of the world, which seemingly have bottomless pockets for the transfer portal. What happens when they come calling and they offer a 7-figure deal? What happens when teams like Ohio State or Notre Dame or Penn State or Tennessee, these teams that are going to be consistently in the college football playoff, come calling, and Colorado falls short of the college football playoff over the next few seasons? When these players leave to go find opportunities to win national championships, that's the other side of it. It giveth, but it also taketh away. And that might rear its ugly head at a program like Colorado, a little bit more than it might at a program like USC or at Georgia or at Florida, because Colorado does not have the same in-state recruiting talent
Mhm.
as Texas, South Louisiana, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, the state of California. These states that have 5 stars across the entire state, and you're able to keep them home. Colorado
Mhm.
doesn't have that at the same level as some of these other big time programs. So if you're not able to retain rosters, if you're constantly replenishing through the transfer portal, and you're not getting the same amount of depth through recruiting through high school, that becomes really, really difficult to sustain.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of been my biggest pet peeve with the new portal era is like there's like a lack of loyalty, but at the same time, it's like if someone offered me triple what I was making, like obviously I'd probably be like, well, like that's life. And I think that's the hard part. And I do
Yeah.
think that it's kind of a weird double-edged sword in college football right now. And obviously I feel like there's better ways to do the transfer portal. I don't love that it's in the middle. Like there's a bowl game tonight, West Virginia, Memphis, and like the something Scooter Bowl, or I don't know what it's called.
Hell
It
yeah.
yeah,
Scooter
whatever it is. And so there's that. The playoff starts on Friday, and it's like, okay, Penn State just lost their backup quarterback because the portal closes at the end of this month. And so if Penn State makes it to the next round, he would have to sort of leave his team or not find a portal spot. Texas has lost the same guy to the portal twice in a week because things happen. I don't know. Like this is the weird era that we live in. So
Right.
if Deion Sanders can continue to guide Colorado through these waters, I think he'll be just fine. If it starts to get to the point where, like he said, people are poaching his roster, or maybe it's just not what he enjoys anymore, then I could see it being a little bit difficult for life after Shedeur and Travis. But right now, he's riding a winning season. He's riding the success of Travis and Shedeur. Travis won 8 national awards, and I think they continue to pour in. I made a running list on Twitter, and it was actually getting too much to update tweet by tweet because he was winning too many awards. And so I just had to
Good for
pace them
him.
all and just, yeah, great problem to have. He has a huge trophy case that needs to be built now. And Colorado
And
has a lot of success to build off of.
that'll also be even compounded come April during the NFL draft
Right.
when Shedeur and Travis Hunter both end up going in the first round. Like that is something that Deion Sanders is going to be able to preach to recruits in the transfer portal and in high school of like, if you come here, I can get you to the NFL draft and I'll get you making way more money in the
Right.
NFL playing on Sundays than you're going to be able to get from Ohio State's collective.
Right. Because at the end of the day, college football money is not NFL money. Like
No.
we're seeing record breaking NIL deals, and it's like, and I'm not going to scoff at 7 million because obviously that's a life changing amount of money for 99% of the population. But for those in the 1%, that is little. That's pocket change to compare to a rookie contract in the first round. So Colorado has a lot to be excited about. Caroline, I appreciate you for joining us. Tell the people where they could find you and what you're working on.
Yes, absolutely. So you can find me on Twitter at Caroline Fenton1. You can also check out some of my shows. I'm on Yahoo Sports, the College Football Power Hour. So we have that every Tuesday and Saturday, and then we'll have a bunch more shows throughout the college football playoffs. So you can check that out on your preferred podcast platform and on YouTube. You can also find me on SiriusXM College Sports Radio, SiriusXM SEC Radio, and SiriusXM Mad Dog Radio as well.
She's all over the map. We're all over the map here as well. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts. I appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. Colorado has about bajillion transfer portal visitors this weekend, this week. I will keep you guys updated every step of the way. I appreciate you for joining us, Caroline. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hope everyone has a great Tuesday.